guys, what's up? My name's Thomas, and today we're going to be talking about building a wiring harness. So let's jump in. Let's start off with what's, in my opinion, one of the most important steps of building a wiring harness. Your diagram. Diagrams are very, 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 very important because without it, you're going to be blindly placing wires. You might not have enough placed in. You could have to redo your harness 3-4 times, unnecessarily extend wires. All that, all the bad stuff. We don't want that. So I made a very basic scheme of a harness. Now, I know how many wires I need in this. I'll write it down in the next part for you guys. But this is just to give you an example of a basic harness. So right here, we have our first initial plug. This will be sitting under the driver's side dash. It'll go up to here, right behind the driver's seat, under the cubby. We have 2 split-offs and then the continuation. The first split-off is for the door light switch. So we'll be running 2 wires to that, a power in, a power out. The next split 2, is for my center cubby system. I'll drop a picture of what that is for people who don't know or have never been in the inside of an 85 RX7. So this one will continue the width of the car. Starting at 2C, we have our other door switch. 2B is a feature I'm adding. It'll be my air pressure sensor and my air pump. 2A is for the console lights. When you open the cubbies, they'll be sitting over that, as I want the cubbies to still be functional. So they'll be getting custom everything, really. Branch 3 is where our ground is going in. So it'll be 1 solid wire and 1 smaller wire. That'll split where needed. So the first splice will be right here on the corner. We're going to splice a 22, the 16 into 2 more. I'm probably going to run 2 16s and a 22. So this will have 3 ground point. It'll go here. It'll split into 5. Number 4 will get its own ground. And then the last one will go up to 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So number 4 is my gas cap. 7 is my left tail light. And the first defrost. I don't know if the defrost is power or ground, so I have to figure that out before I build the harness. Number 8 is my plate lights. Oh no, 6 is tail lights, defrost. 7 is my hatch motor and the rear lights. The rear lights will be turning on and off separate from the main lights, as it's only to light up the hatch. 8 is for my plate lights. 9 is my final tail light. 10 is my final defrost. So there'll be a ground in either 10 or 6. I don't think it matters, but I'm going to double check to make sure before I build it. Now that we've seen a more basic version of a wiring diagram, and you'll see hundreds of different types. Some people will do every split out. Some people will not draw these at all. Some people will just write a note. Some people will go crazy and write a full thing. Let's start with the heart and soul of your wiring harness. The wires. These come in many different sizes, colors, and types. The quality you can get is basic, Amazon, Special, or Harbor Freight, AutoZone, whatever. Silicone covered wires. Like this. And this. For anyone wondering the sizes, this is 18 gauge and this is 22. These are the 2 most common sized wires in your harness for most OEM vehicles. I opted for the Amazon special stuff because I don't need high quality for running my taillights. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have high quality stuff such as Tefsil or Tensel. Those are spectacular wires. They're a fraction of the size and 2 to 3 times the cost. If you buy big rolls of it, it works out to, 20, 30 cents a roll. This was 6 cents, this was 10 per foot. So, tomato on what you ultimately choose. You may want to go with Tefsil throughout the whole car, just simply for the weight reduction, the ease of size, all that sort of stuff. I didn't, because my car is still going to weigh about the same when I'm done everything. I'm just redistributing the weight. How do you choose the size? You can A, look at your stock harness and measure those size. Look at your wiring harnesses, diagrams, quick Google searches. I'm also going to link a PDF folder down below for a wiring chart. You'll have to know the amperage or current of each thing you're wiring and the length to run the chart properly. I've already done all that. I already know everything I'm running is going to work off of 18 and 22. Let's move on to the next step of your wiring harness. The loom. Now there are also many different types of loom, and you'll have to make sure to get the correct size. The most basic style loom is the plastic sheathing on your OEM type and electrical tape. Some people even use hockey tape. And it, again, honestly does work. It wouldn't be used in your OEM vehicle if it wasn't usable. Now, if you're going for more of a show car or just want to get away from the crappy plastic loom, you can get expanding braided loom. I got 2 different sizes because I'm using this mainly for my Rx7. And you may be wondering, why do I have heat shrink out for that? Another main type of loom is actually heat shrink. This is the wrong type of heat shrink, but it is. It's commonly referred to as 3M heat shrink or DR25. It is one of the more expensive options, but it keeps your wires safe from all elements. It's ideal for engine bay, and I will actually be picking up some A type of DR25 for the engine bay harness, as I'm running rotary and they get hot. You're better off to get a loom that matches closer to your wiring harness size when tight than when loose. It just makes it look cleaner. The other benefit of this type over your plastic or your DR25 is I can run wires out wherever I want, because if I'm careful, I can actually poke a wire through the side of this. I can't do that on heat shrink. I have to do a whole potting process, which is perfectly fine and is preferred by many people. Or electric tape, you can do the same thing. You can pop them out wherever. I don't like the electric tape option. After a year, that tape becomes crusty, sticky, and it's a living nightmare. But it is one of the easiest if you have to make adjustments to your harness. I'm sticking with braided. It's my preferred. This will do all of my internal harness. Let's move on to your splices and basic connectors. Now these are, again, Amazon special. You can get top quality open and closed barrel connectors, such as these. These aren't the top quality. Or you can get higher quality these. These are not entirely approved in the racing community, aside from these little hoops. Those are okay, because you can use them for your grounds. You'll just want to take the plastic coat off the back and replace it with actual heat shrink. Now the heat shrink is out on this section as well, because you're going to want to heat shrink any spliced connector you do, try not to solder. Solder can last, but if you're using the car for anything, it tends to deteriorate and break. And there's a big debate on it, but I just opt not to. You can seal either of them with electric or heat shrink. I opt for heat shrink over electric tape. Yeah, these are really simple to use. They're just like this, only you need a different type of tool for it. The tool used for these will also be used for the terminals in the next section. There are other types of connectors as well. You can use vampire clips. There are this type in closed barrel, like what's inside these ones. You can unideally just twist the wire together. Don't do that, please. If you cherish your car or your life or the sanity of anyone who touches the car, don't do it. No. Moving on to one of the last parts of the harness, you have the electrical connectors. I only have one example of this here. I do have the Doist connectors. I have a different type of waterproof connector, and I have a third type of cheap connector I use for mock-up harnesses for adequate plug points. I will list an example of each of those somewhere. So this, weirdly enough, just like everything else I've mentioned, came from Amazon, eBay. These are OEM connectors for my Mazda Rx7. Well, replicas. They have the same terminal, so I can unsplice and resplice connectors as I want. Or these do plug in, which is nice. The 6-prong ones are upside down, sadly. But that's okay. Oh, I really hope the tubes aren't. Either way, I just need these. So yeah, the lowest one you can get, I don't have here. It was $10 for the box, and it came with 2, 4, 6, and 8, and 3. Not 8, it was 3. And they work. They get the job done for what you need. I use them in my F-150. You just tape them up and off you go. They're not ideal. You're better off to buy the next level up, which is OEM type. If you're driving a newer vehicle, you can actually get OEM type from the manufacturer. Amazon often carries a lot of them. Your local parts store will carry a lot of them. Or you can go to places like iWire or racing.com or ProWire, stuff like that. They're all over the place. Your next level up would be your Doist connectors and race connectors. Those ones will come from ProWire Racing or Doist themselves. I have the knockoff of the Doist ones. The shells work the exact same. It's just they have open barrel crimps instead of closed. They're way cheaper. Now, if you're going to crimp any sort of stuff, and this will be mentioned in detail in the tools, you'll need a specific type of tool to do it properly. That'll be gone over in the next section. The last thing you're going to need is tools. Now, there are a variety of tools you can get for it as well, ranging from $2 specials on Amazon for just basic clip and strip, crimp, to more advanced such as this, or this, to even more advanced such as this. This doesn't actually strip. I'll go over this in a minute. Now, I recommend an automatic set of wire strippers such as this one. They're so nice to have, and if I bring it up close, you can actually see where the wire connects and pulls. You can use that for splicing in the middle of wires. Clipping the ends is just so much easier and faster than using the traditional strippers and crimpers. Now, these are a little more adept to crimp stuff with. I don't actually use the crimpers on these anymore. I do occasionally use the wire cutter though. These are just strictly for stripping. You can get automatic ones that have a little bar right here to adjust it, so it's the same strip every time. And those are used when you're building club or pro level harnesses for proper race cars. But if you're doing just a modification or update on a wiring harness, or it's doing a low tier taillight harness or whatever, these or the basic red handled ones, that strip will do just fine. This is a heavier duty wire cutter and crimper. I used it a fair amount when I was using the cheap crimps and stuff. And again, they work just fine. I know it's dirty. It's seen years of use. And they work great. You can pick up a new set for like $15. Work very well. This is getting into your more quality parts. This is a 2-in-1 tool. So its mouth has pointed here and then rounded up here. So when it closes, you get a round barrel here. It's not going to let me show you. And a curved barrel here. That's very important for when you're doing open barrel and closed barrel crimping. These are the lower quality ones. You can get higher quality ones, but for what I'm doing, I don't need them. I don't want to spend the money on the high-end set. These work just fine. These are what I plan on using. They go well with my open barrel crimps. And they work phenomenal for the open barrel terminal connectors for your clips.